Alright YouTube, what's going on? We're starting out a video today, and you can see here I've got a few guns on the table. Kind of move this around. Oh. But really the video is not about the guns in particular, it's actually about the red dot sights that are on each gun. Each gun's wearing a different sight from a different company, and we're going to compare these four that I consider to be the best options available, minus, of course, buying an Aimpoint T1 Micro, which is going to cost you quite a bit of money. These are all budget red dot sights, but they are, different in their own little ways. So we're just kind of compare them and review them and see which ones, which one comes out on top, which one's the best value. We'll go from there. Stay tuned. We're back. We've demounted these from the weapons. They're still, all should hold 0 because they're all attached to mounts in some way or another. So I've gone through and done quite a few tests and compared, each one. So what we're going to do is going to go one by one, kind of run on the specs, kind of what you get in the box, those kind of things. We're going to start with the Spark. It is price-wise around $180 to $200. I don't think I've seen it less than $180. I'll leave a link in my description for the Amazon store. I got it for $180. I think maybe even $170. It is has a 12-hour auto shutdown feature, and they rate the battery life from anywhere from 300 hours at maximum brightness to 5,000 hours at minimum. I would probably say I'd rate it, maybe 3 or less, even at medium settings. So of the four red dots, it probably has the worst battery life, which is interesting because it's one of the more expensive ones. Some of the pros, it does have a 2 MOA dot. Let's see if we can get that on camera for you. I'm going to have to kick that brightness up, which is easy to do right here on the side. So it's got a nice crisp dot, 2 MOA, so it's pretty precise. I really prefer the 2 MOA over the 3 MOA, like on the Bushnell. So again, I'm going to go through all the qualities, kind of how I judge these, but what you get in the box of the Spark is quite a bit. I mean, that's the thing. It comes loaded. It comes with 3 different mounts. Got your manual here. Came with 2 batteries, which was cool, and it has a like a flat mount, like a low mount. It has a high co-witness mount for an AR-15. And then it comes with, actually, so I guess just 2 mounts plus this is another mount right here. So it has even like a medium mount. So it does come with 3 different mounts, which is really cool. This is the one I'm running right now. I have this on my CZ Scorpion, and if I run this mount, it allows me to do complete co-witness with the iron sights. So that's why I'm running that. So you get a lot with this. You get 3 mounts, you get these flip-up covers come included, and you also get, which is one of the pros and cons of this, these covers aren't the best. Like, you push them in, and you'll have to mess with them a little bit. So I mean, it's cool they come with them. They're not the greatest, but they work. But these, all the caps for the windage and elevation adjustment and the battery compartment all have these little, like, wires attached to them. So you don't lose them. Like, you can't really ever lose the top, any of these caps. They're never going to get lost. But at the same time, you can see how this is a new dot, and you can see how marred up this is. I could not, because of this. You can see all the wires coming through here. I couldn't get this off. I had to really, just to make an adjustment to this, and you can see it's still really, really tight. So I think you can loosen these, which loosens this. I keep calling it an anchor. I don't know what else to really call it. But you can see here, it's just not that simple. The other ones are so much simpler. You just unscrew the cap. So, like I said, kind of a pro because you won't lose them, but a con because it just adds a little bit more cumbersomeness, if that's a word, to the optics. So, one thing that's also interesting about this, so the Spark is a really well built, really well built. I mean, probably the best build quality. I'll go over all that stuff later in the summary of the video, but probably the best build quality of all of them. And it's not the most expensive either, so that's good. Clarity, the glass is really good on this, probably the best. The dot's really clear. There's not much distortion to the dot at any brightness setting, which is nice. So it's it's a very quality piece. So, and I'll kind of go over the pros. So I think the best pro about this optic itself is it has a lifetime no questions asked warranty. So anything ever happens to this thing, you know, it stops working for whatever reason, if you beat the heck out of it, stops working, they're going to replace it for free, for lifetime. That's something that should be really, really on your mind when you're considering buying what optic to buy for your rifle, depending on how hard you're going to be on it, of course. So it came with multiple mounts. That was a huge plus. The anchored elevation caps, like I said, plus and minus. Push button controls instead of like a twist control like in the Bushnell, which I really like these. They're right there. They're easy to use. They function well. They're a little mushy. The ones on the primary arms and the Holosun are a little more crisp. So, and again, like I said, the glass is really clearly the best on this optic. Cons: it does have probably the lowest battery life, and I think Vortex could actually dominate this market if they could bring an optic to market that has the same battery life, or close to anyway, of the primary arms and the Holosun, because really it's up there, but that's the one thing that's kind of lacking. It doesn't have any battery life, probably even worse than the Bushnell TRS 25. So something to consider, because you know, of course, we all want to buy an Aimpoint T1 that has, you know, 50,000 plus hour battery life, and probably, you know, the best optic you can buy, really, but it also costs $600 to $700. So for the budgets, you know, if the Spark, it doesn't impress with the battery life, basically. Again, the caps can be a bad thing. The way they're anchored can be kind of cumbersome, and it actually has the worst field of view of all the dot optics. Now, when I say that, it's because it has all this stuff all over the place. Like, you got your controls here on the side, so when you're looking down the sight, and it's hard to tell here, but you're going to see all this on the side. Your eye's going to catch this battery compartment, this little wire hanging off, the flip-up covers, all that. You know, you could move these to the side or down, depending on what mount you're running. But, you know, it doesn't have the cleanest field of view. So that's one other con for the Vortex. Other than that, I mean, again, these are all really good optics. You can't go wrong with any of these, but these are just kind of my observations on those. So next we're going to talk about the primary arms microdot sight, or the MDS, and this is the 50,000 hour battery life sight. I've actually got two of these. This one I run with a Holosun riser, funny enough, on my Tavor, and this one I run on my AK. So, and this one's been beat to heck. I mean, this is the one I tested initially, did for the video. I'll put a description in the full review of this one where I waterproof, you know, tested it. I beat it up, put on a shot 12 gauge, it held up. So I got another one. I like them so much, and the battery life on these is phenomenal. So first of all, let's kind of talk. It does also have the 2 MOA dot, 50,000 hour battery life on one CR2032. All of these use the same battery, the CR2032, and all of them came with at least one battery. These are all night vision compatible. And this one weighs 3.9 ounces, I think. I mean, it's got a base on there. I think it's the lightest of the dots. I'm 99% sure it's the lightest of the dots. So if that's something you're considering, this would be your best choice. Again, the value on this, they run about $169 or maybe $159 on Amazon. I'll have a link, you know, for my Amazon store, but they do not come with any mounts. The reason why I think they do that is because this one has a removable base. So does the Spark as well. But you can use Aimpoint T1 mounts on this. So, you know, if you have Aimpoint T1 mounts, or if there's a certain mount like an American Defense or something you want to run, this is your best option because it's going to be compatible with those mounts. The other ones are not. So that's kind of, I think that's why they don't include mounts. I got this riser for like maybe 20 bucks on the Holosun on Amazon with this dot. So you're still, even with that, you're looking at about 180 for the value. So it really has the best value. It has the best battery life, it has the most compatibility with different mounts, and it has a 3-year warranty, which is good. It's actually the least warranty of all the dots, though, surprisingly. Again, the cons on this one, there is no mounts included, but again, I think I emphasize why that is, but if that's something you're looking for, if you don't want to spend extra money, you know, when you consider that, you're looking at buying a Spark, but, you know, the trade-off for me, the battery life is definitely worth it on the primary arms. And then there is a slight orange hue, and I don't know, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to pick it up. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. That was lucky. So that little orange hue, you'll get that on the dot from time to time, especially when the light hits it right. Most of the dots suffer from this in some way or another. This The Bushnell is probably the worst, and the Holosun and the primary arms are very similar. The Vortex really has very little of this, if at all. So that's kind of another plus for the Vortex. And that's why I rated it having the clearest glass. So the primary arms doesn't have very many cons, guys. It's an exceptional value, great optic. I have 2 of them. The battery life, you can't go wrong. You can leave it on. It's going to last you for 50,000 hours, 5+ years of use. I mean, for a self-defense rifle or shotgun, this is what you should run because you're going to have the best battery life. The Holosun is a really cool optic, and I've actually heard, I'm not sure if this is, I can't necessarily confirm this, that the Holosun and the primary arms are both made in the same factory. There is a lot of similarities, but there is some differences between the two. The cool thing about the Holosun is it has 2 optics, or not 2 optics, 2 reticles. So right now it's just, I have it on the, for comparison purposes, I left it on the dot, and you can see you have that orange hue too. You're picking that up on that. Not as bad as the primary arms, actually. So that's the dot. It's actually quite clear. It's not on a really high brightness right now. There you go. You can see it pretty good there. But it also has a circle dot, and I got to remember how. I think you hold it for 3 seconds. Yep. So that's automatic mode. Okay. And then now you can see you've got. Well, you can't see it. I keep covering up the. Get that up there. Can we see it? I'm having a hard time picking that up for some reason. It's huge on the dot, on the reticle. Let's see if we can't get that to show up for us. Oh man, that's funny. I don't know why it's not working. We're gonna jump that up a little bit. It's just not on the brightness, but it has an EOTech circle. It has a just like an EOTech, it has a 2 MOA dot in the middle with a 65 MOA circle with, like, crosshairs on it. I don't understand why this is not picking it up. Let me try to turn the light off. Alright, let's see if we can. It's showing up so bright for me. I just wonder why we're not able to see it. Camera's not gonna play. It's not gonna play nice with the camera, but it's got a nice circle dot. And there's a few other videos on YouTube flush with the windage mount there, but that's where you replace your battery. So this is gonna have the best field of view. It's the least compact, or the most compact of all of the dot sights. The Holosun is. So that's pretty cool. Weighs 4.2 ounces, so it's just a tad bit heavier. That's without the bases, obviously. It has the exact same base here. They also come with 2 different bases. It comes with this co-witness mount base, and then it comes with a low mount. I'll show you real quick. It also comes with a little handy tool to help pop out that battery compartment. You don't necessarily need it though. Little cloth has these bikini things. The primary arms and the Bushnell come with that also. And here's your other mount. So now I've heard from many people that these are not compatible directly with all the aim-point mounts. I think it works with some, not with others. So I think the primary arm has the advantage there if you're wanting to use those sort of mounts. It does have a removable base like the primary arms and the Vortex though. So it has the best field of view. I like how it has 2 reticles. That's a huge plus. Solar power is cool. The lower profile, and it comes with the 2 mounts. So. And it also claims a lifetime warranty, but you need to go on their website and read what that covers because it's kind of deceptive. Not deceptive, but it's kind of misleading. The full warranty applies only to the metal structure of the product and does not apply to the optic or illumination. Those have a 5-year warranty on the optics and a 3-year on the illumination. So the illumination is the same as the primary arms. The body and such, if these stripped out or anything happened to those, that would be covered under for your life. and then your optical system, you know, your glass and such, it would be covered for 5 years. So better than the primary arms there, but not as good as the Vortex with its lifetime warranty. And the cons on this one, like, really very few cons. It's got a nice clear dot, it's got clear glass, slightly below the Vortex there. It has, you know, really the only thing I would say, it's the most expensive dot. It runs about $239. It does come with the different mounts. It has the 2 different types of sights. It's solar panel, or the 2 different types of reticles, but it's the most expensive as well. So take that for, you know, what it's worth. And last but not least, the Bushnell TRS 25, guys. This guy is he's famous. It's the famous red dot. I mean, I think everyone owns one of these. It's so inexpensive, 85 bucks on Amazon. It's got a lifetime. I didn't even know this until today. This baby has a lifetime warranty, no questions asked, no matter what on it. That's cool. That was surprising. For 85 bucks, you get a lifetime warranty. Now, it doesn't come with any mounts. I've added this UTG mount, pretty cheap. It's like 10, 12 bucks on Amazon. It's pretty solid. I run this on my son's M&P 1522 rifle. I've also run this exact dot though on my AK-47. It's held up. I've run on a shotgun. It's held up. It's very, very durable. It has a 3 MOA dot, so it's a little bit bigger dot, which I prefer the 2 OA, but 2 MOA, excuse me. It's pretty good. Again, it's waterproof, shockproof, fog-proof. It's not fog-proof actually, but pretty close, surprisingly. And I'll get into that a little bit later. It's just very durable. The negatives. So, I mean, the pros, excuse me, it's the no questions asked warranty for life, least expensive. It's been proven. It's very, very durable. I'd say the Holosun's not as proven, or the Primaris. This has been out a long time, a lot of years, and it's just a proven optic. I mean, there's just tons of people review these, tons that just say, if you're on a budget, this is the best red dot you can buy. It has 3,000 hour battery life, which is I would say the second worst, because they rate that at the medium setting, and it's probably about the same as the Vortex. They're probably about 6s. It has a dial adjustment, so kind of an old school. I'd love to see the TRS-25 revamped with push button controls. I would think in increased battery life, and this thing would be awesome. I mean, it already is awesome, but even better. But it's got this big bulky dial, you know, and it's positive. They're easy, you know. That's how you turn up your brightness. The push button controls, once you go to those, you'll never want to go back. It has the second worst field of view because it has this big old huge thing right here on the side. So when you're shooting both eyes open, your eye, you know, you're wanting to include that red dot sight, and this just kind of blocks a little vision. It's not really a big deal, but it's something you may consider. It doesn't have a removable base, so it's not going to work with any mounts besides something like this. Now, there's quite a few mounts out there, and luckily, like a lot of companies like RS Regulate has made like an AK, one of their famous AK mounts that works for the Bushnell, which is cool. But it's not going to work with as many mounts out there, so that is kind of a con. And it has probably the worst of the let's see, we turned it all the way off. Let's get it on medium there. See if you can pick up the hue. See that? Like right there? Oh man, that comes up all the time. That, I don't know what to call it. I call it an orange hue, but it's just kind of, you see that more on the Bushnell than any of the others. So it probably has the worst optics of any of the, and glass of any of the red dots. Which, you know, it is the least expensive. That's not terribly surprising. Also not a deal breaker, guys. It's a great optic. So don't let that take it. But these are just, you know, why we're going over this, to let you know how I've come to these conclusions, how I've tested these. I've used these all on different rifles, shotguns. They're the top 4, I think, out there. I also considered the Lucid M7, but it had too many negative reviews for me to look at. And Vortex actually just came out with a new Spark called the AR that has, it's a lot more low profile like the Holosun, because it's got an integrated mount into it, and it stores the battery in that mount, and it's a AAA battery. It has about the same battery life as this, and it has a more rubberized coating, so it may be more durable. But again, it's still only a 3,000 hour battery life. And, you know, AAA batteries are nice because they're so easily and readily available and cheap, but battery life, you know, I will take a 2032 battery that's going to last 50,000 hours over one I have to replace every 3,000 hours. So there is a new Vortex on the market that's coming out. I don't know if it actually is out. I know it was announced at SHOT Show. and I think I saw it on Optics Planet. Maybe it was a pre-order, but that would solve some of the issues with that. But it didn't fix the battery life, which is kind of disappointing. I think they missed an opportunity there. So what I did is I judged these based on a few different criteria here: the quality of the glass, the clearness of the red dot, the clarity of the dot in dark and bright conditions, the dot size, the controls, how easy they were to use, the mounts that were included or not, and the value of the optic, the warranty, and the fog on the lens. Now that was kind of a fun one. I basically just blew on the dots, the red dots, the glass, and I timed how long it took them to unfog, and you'd be surprised with the results. We'll go over them here in a sec. Build quality and battery life. So that's kind of how I judged them. We'll come back to that part of the video. We're gonna do show some outside footage so you can see how these dots look in the bright sun, and it's actually winter snow, and that's even a better, I think, test, because the snow is really bright. You know, reflects off these optics a little bit. So we'll see how those fare in that, and then we'll kind of wrap up the video. Our YouTubers were out testing the brightness of the dots. I've got them all set on a medium setting. The Holosun is on its just automatic setting, so it's you know, kind of medium as it is, and I've got the circle dot on there, but I don't think you're going to be able to pick these up through the camera very well. I'll try on each one, but I can tell you right now that the Holosun on medium, and we just got fresh snow, and it's really bright today. It's really sunny. I think this kind of represents a really good test. And the Holosun is as bright as day. I mean, you can see it, no problems at all. Very, very clear. Even on the freshly snow, the reflection of the sun, it's very clear. I mean, it's on medium brightness, so very good. Like I said, don't know if we're going to be able to catch them. If you can see that on the camera, I can't see it through the viewfinder, so I'm guessing no. But it's plenty bright. Alright, next up is the Bushnell Trs 25. And on medium brightness, you can see I've got it set to 6 there on the dial. I can't even see it at all. Like, I can't even find the dot. So let's turn it, and this has got a new battery in it. Okay, it took me all the way max brightness. I can see the dot now. And I can see it on 10. And it's really faded at 7. 8 I have a hard time. Oh, there it is. And again, this has got the biggest dot, guys. It's got a 3 MOA dot. So really you need to have it on 10, I would say. And this kind of outside with the snow and stuff to even be able to see the dot. I'll try to get this on camera. I don't think it's going to work very well. But I don't think you can see it or not, but it's... So the Bushnell on medium, it does not work. You have to pretty much crank it up to 10 to see the dot as well as you do the Holosun. Alright, now I've got the Spark, the Vortex Spark, and at medium, it's bright as day. I mean, you can see it really clearly. I'm actually gonna tone it down to the lower settings. Okay, that's like 1, and I can still pick up the dot. 2, 3, yeah, it's so... The Spark has a really, really good dot. You can see it. I mean, I've only got it on like 4 right now, and I can see it just clear as day. Let's see. Again, we're just trying to catch a shot. Don't know if it's going to come through on the camera or not, so probably not. So the Spark's good. And I've got the primary arms micro. Let's see, that's off 1. There's 5. I've got on 5 right now, and it's as clear as day also. So it's hard to tell. The Spark and the Holosun was the brightest. I'm going to be the strip honest. Even on the solar power setting. So it's like kind of the automatic setting, and it's the brightest. But the primary arms, MD-ADS, just as good as the Spark. They're right around the same. See, that automatic brightness is really nice on the Holosun. I mean, I kind of put my hand over the solar panel, and it dims it quite a lot. But it's even if my hand covering that solar panel, I can still make it out. So that one's crazy bright. So I'd have to say the brightness goes to the, well, that reticle is easier to see. Let's go ahead and change that. Okay, I'm on the dot now. Alright, so this is in manual mode. Yeah, that's only on 4. Wow. It's almost too bright. Like, I have to turn it down. Like, the lower settings is the best setting. And this is the 2 MOA dot. Again, probably not going to be able to see that. But I've got it on like 3 or 4. So I'm going to say that the Holosun is the brightest. Both reticles considered. It had on the least amount of setting to see it. But again, not a huge difference between this and the primary arms or the Vortex. But the Bushnell, man, it was the worst by far. Alright guys, so we've done all the tests. Had to wait a little bit to do the brightness test outside because of how much snow we've been getting, and finally got some sunshine today, so concluded that one and ranked them on a bunch of different categories. And I think I went over this in an earlier part of this video. If not, I'll go over them again. Judged them on the clarity of the glass, the clearness of the dot clarity in bright conditions and in dark conditions, the size of the dot, the controls. Actually, we're going to throw the size of the dot out. So, controls, how many mounts, if they're included with any mounts or not, the value, the warranty, the fog aspect of how much the lens fogs up and how long it takes it to clear, the build quality, and the battery life. So I pretty much scored each one in those different categories, and let me just go ahead and preface this. There's really no bad choice here. They're all exceptionally good red dots, but I think that the 3 here definitely outweigh the Bushnell. Even though the Bushnell is the least expensive option, it also scored the worst in a lot of important categories, I think. So you do get what you pay for here. So overall, I'm going to pull my paper out of the way here. Kind of just go over what, we'll start with each dot and kind of what they did best on. The Vortex was, I thought, had the best glass of any of the red dots. Has the best warranty, no questions asked. The Bushnell is really the same. They both have no questions asked warranty for life of the red dot. The mounts it comes with 3 different types. So you buy this, you don't have to go out and spend any more money on mounts. You've got everything you need for any kind of setup, really. And the build quality is exceptional on this. I rated it the highest of any of the red dots. The negatives, though, battery life, the worst out of all of them, and the fog factor, how long it took. It took 20 seconds for the fog to clear off this lens. That was the longest of any of the red dots by far. So those are some negatives. The controls and the value were kind of like a 3 in the 3 category. That I did it on 4 basically different categories. 4 different scores, excuse me, how many, there's 4 red dots, how were they finished, and but the outdoor brightness was exceptional on this, so it's a solid dot, but if you're looking for battery life, which a lot of us are, and if the fog thing's an issue, this kind of fails in those aspects. So, like I mentioned before, if Vortex could figure out the battery life issue on this thing, they would have a clear winner here, but they haven't figured that out yet, so that, yeah. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one before I reveal who the winner is. And again, guys, this is my opinion. These are just some tests I did, but I think they're pretty solid, so hopefully it can help you make a decision. Primary arms microdot sight. The positives were the controls. I like the controls the best. I liked them up here on the top. The battery life is by far the best. 50,000 hour battery life. I've left this thing on since I've had it, and it's just... Actually, that was I have 2 of these. That was the other one, but still, I've left this one on also. But the other one's lasted months, and it should last like 5 years. It's a long time, actually. So the battery life's the best. The dot brightness in the outdoors was just as good as probably the Vortex. The fogging was the second best. The build quality I rated the second best, and the glass is the second best. So it had lots of second place finishes and a couple of first place. Only negatives I would even say on this one: it has the least amount of warranty of any of the dots, and it has no mounts that's included with it. You gotta go out and buy mounts, which not a big deal. Holosun, the HS503C. This one is primary arms at Holosun. I think they're built in the same factories, so the quality is about the same on these. The control, what I liked about the Holosun was it was the brightest by far in the sun. I mean, with this automatic brightness on the solar panel with the circle dot and even with the micro dot on manual mode, which is run off battery only, it was still the brightest outside, so that was nice. It had a lot of second place, like the most. Second in glass quality, controls second. They're very similar to the primary arms that were on the side, which some people might like that better. The warranty was just second to Bushnell and what do you call it? Vortex, better than the primary arms. It came with a couple more mounts, so that helped it, and the battery life is second to the primary arms. And a lot of people say, oh, it's the same, it's 50,000 hours, or you have this. Well, they claim that on 20,000 hours on the circle dot and 50 on the red. So I guess if you're going to run the red, then it's going to have the same as the primary arms, but in that case I would just buy the primary arms because it's a lot less expensive. I think why people like this dot is because it has both options of the circle, you know, with the 2 MOA, then the 65 MOA, and the crosshairs, kind of like the Yotech. And it has the red dot, the small micro 2 MOA dot. So if you just like that, then just go with the primary arms. But this gives you both options, which is cool. It was the third worst in the fog, which is surprising. And I actually rated this the lowest value only because it's the most expensive. I kind of feel like it should be the same cost as the primary arms, maybe $20, $30 more. It's about $60 to $70 more, so I don't know that the value is there. It should be a little less expensive in my opinion, but it's still a really solid red dot sight. And the Bushnell. You know, for the money, hard to beat it. 89 bucks, functions well, takes a beating. Did best in the warranty department. Well, actually, I should say a tie within the warranty department with the Vortex, lifetimes, no questions asked with warranty on these. The fog, it was the best. It actually surprised the heck out of me. It cleared up the fastest, and the value is really, really high on this thing because it's only about 85 bucks. No mounts included though, and it actually was the worst in a few categories. It was the worst as far as glass, the clarity of the glass, the dot in the sun. Man, I had to crank this sucker up all the way to like almost max to even see the red dot. And the controls are just kind of old and clunky. They're here on the side. They're just big. Bushnell should really come out with a new version of this sight because it would really, really... I mean, it's already selling like crazy. It's a really good option if you just, you know, aren't concerned about battery life. You're not concerned about the controls. You don't mind just cranking the dot up in the dark when you're outside shooting to see it. But to me, those are all kind of negatives, and this is why one reason why this red dot resides on my son's 22 rifle, not on like my Tavor or my Scorpion or, you know, my KSG or anything like that. It's because it's just, to me, he doesn't mind turning it off and on. He doesn't mind turning it off all the way when he shoots. Those kind of things don't bother him. They kind of bother me a little bit. So if I had to pick a clear winner, which is really hard, I am going to go, though, with the primary arms MD ADS. It had quite a few #1 finishes, had a ton of #2 finishes in the categories. It's a really good value at 160 bucks. Has the best battery life, has a nice crisp dot, super bright outside, easy to see. The only negative I'd give it is it has the least warranty. It's like a 3-year warranty on this, which is still good. And it doesn't come with any mounts. But again, like I said, they do that because another advantage to this is it will take pretty much any aim point mount out there. So if you know, it gives you a lot of options for mounts. Plus, you can get like one of these Holosun ones for 20 bucks. You can get these UTG ones that work with it for less. It has a removable base. overall, I think it's the best option out there right now. If you want just an MOA, a 2 MOA dot, if that's all you want, then that's the way to go. If you want an option to change reticles, the Holosun is awesome. And it's just an awesome sight overall, and I like how slim and sleek it is. And that's why this would probably be my number 2 choice. Number 3 would be the Vortex, and I'm telling you, it would be number 1 if it had battery life and a better fog resistance. Those two things are kind of a big deal, I think, and especially the battery life thing. So that's why I rank it lower. If they were to come out with a Spark that got 50,000 hour battery life, then it would blow all these away, because really build quality is better, glass is better. The dot's probably the clearest of all. It was second, tied with primary for second brightest, so really solid choice. But it's also one of the more expensive ones. The second most expensive, has the worst battery life, so that's kind of why I bumped it down a little bit. Then 4th is the Bushnell. Solid option, guys. I mean, if you're on a budget, want to spend less than $100, there's nowhere else to look. This is the option you want to go with. If you don't mind ponying up a little bit more money, $60 to get the primary arms, it's a no-brainer. It's a much superior dot, a much superior battery life, better build quality, etc. So that's going to conclude the video, guys. I know this is kind of a long one. I'm going to see when I edit it. It may end up being in 2 parts right now. As far as we're speaking right now, it hasn't been edited, so it may be able to slam into one. But they're all really good choices, so you can't go wrong with any of these 4 dots. But like I said, the primary arms kind of reign supreme for me, followed by the Holosun. I know Primary Arms is working on a new red dot sight that has their ACSS reticle on it instead of a regular dot. It has that ACSS, it has the bullet drop compensation. That thing is going to be a game changer. It's going to come out sometime this year, and it's also going to be available in a Holosun dot. So you can tell there's the collaboration between the companies there. They're going to have it in both dots, so you can get it either way. I don't know any ETA on that, but I will be getting one in for review eventually. So, alright guys, that's going to wrap up the video. Any questions or comments, leave them down below. We'll see you on the next one.